And I think after that they got like a thing put on the phone, so I mean, there might have been other reasons for it, I don't know.
Hello you lovely people of the internet, and welcome to another day of me being seriously messed up. And today's Seriously Messed Up is a Wednesday Seriously Messed Up. It is also, I'm currently being distracted by people outside shouting. You won't be able to pick it up unless I really boost the gain on it. But the shouting, it's like, and they're probably, I know the people of Plymouth, they're probably standing right next to each other and they just shout. They have, you know, there's the inside voice and the outside voice. The people of Plymouth, and that's the Jana police coming in there. And the people of Plymouth have a concert voice as well. Nobody else seems to have that, just the people of Plymouth. Anyway, as I was saying, it's Wednesday. It would have been my brother's birthday today, but the bastard's dead because he went and died because, like, you know, what's better than that? I can't remember if he was either going to work or he had to sign on or he had to do something on the Monday, and he was like, nah, I'm not having any of that, and so he carked it, which is, it's the best way to avoid doing anything, I think. And what I'm going to spend most of today, this video talking about, is me brother. But before that, on his birthday, for a few years, I wrote a piece of music for him every day on his birthday. Every day on his birthday. For his birthday for about 3 or 4 years. It might have been longer, I don't know, because I haven't got all the music I ever made for him. I've only got like from 2011, I think. And I'm sure I did ones before that. Because there's a thing about inserting discs, and I've got no idea if I've still got that one or not. But anyway, God, I'm sidetracking myself here. So at the end of the video, there will be a piece of music that I wrote for me brother. And the one that's at the end is, it's based on Half Man, Half Biscuit. Time flies by when you're the driver of a train. It's based on that. It's got the same vibes here. Because Half Man, Half Biscuit from Birkenhead, so I'm honouring me roots, me and me brother's roots from Birkenhead. And he introduced me to Half Man, Half Biscuit. And I'm a bass player. I started off, and like he'd say to me, let it happen, bass player, which is, it's like a thing for, I'm not going to go on about it. Look, the music is the end. Okay, so watch the video till the end because there's music at the end of it, is what I wanted to say. Christ, it's like pulling teeth sometimes, getting words out of my face hole. Right, so we can start with that. Is that me brother, right? He introduced me to Half Man, Half Biscuit. He introduced me to a lot of things. He introduced me to martial arts, which I am not a practitioner of. He was to some extent, I think. But then he didn't tell me everything that he ever got on with, that he did in his life. And this is a thing, right? Though we grew up together, I didn't know much about him really, only what he told me as a kid. I kind of knew who he was when we were both kids. He was 7 years older than me. And so he introduced me to all sorts of things. He taught me little rhyme jokes that used to annoy me mum. Tarzan in the jungle had a bellyache, wants to go to the toilet, too late. He taught me that. Fantastic. Mary had a little lamb. It was full of fun and frolics. It tried to jump a 10-foot wall and landed rather awkwardly. There was that one. Mary had a little lamb. It was a little bugger. It ran across the tablecloth and piddled in the sugar. Now, when I was a kid, FBI, open up! That was the joke police. When I was a little kid, that used to really make me laugh, that one. Because I had the really strong image of, like, the lamb piddling in the sugar, which is the funniest thing about 6-year-old me could have ever imagined. There were other things as well. There's something that I think I must have mentioned this one. I don't know how old he was. I think he was in his senior school, I think. And he had to write something. He had it in his folder, and like he'd spelled something wrong because his spelling was terrible. what he was trying to say was the sun is a star that can be seen with the naked eye. And he couldn't spell naked, and he spelt it as knackered. And so the sun is a star that can be seen with the knackered eye, which made me, young me, fall over, laughing me head off. And it still does. I can still see the folder. It was a blue folder, and it had a little sticker of an antelope on it. There was other things on it that I can't remember. But that stuck with me, the knackered eye. And then we were looking through a dictionary once. It had been a family dictionary, we'd had it for years. And there was little illustrations next to some of the words, some of the descriptions. And there was this one, it said Fijian. And there was this drawing little illustration of a person with curly hair. Now, my mum used to get a perm every few months. It was one of those really tight curl ones. And my brother looks at it and says, "That's Mum, isn't it? A Fijian." And of course, I laughed my head off at that one as well. He had a really, he had a grim sense of humour. He told me some horrendous jokes over the years. I mean, thankfully, I don't remember most of them. And some of them that I do remember, I'm not going to tell on here. And I've got all these little fragments of memories because he'd left home by the late 90s, really. Because he was living with his partner in Liverpool, and he'd still come over. And after my mum died, you know, he'd still like help out, do shopping for us, make sure my dad was okay. Because he'd be in every day because he worked over in Birkenhead. But at that point, because like I only had fleeting sort of things of him, I didn't see him that often. And although we were close in a lot of ways, you know, there was I never completely forgot about his existence or anything like that. He was always a part of, like, he was always in my thoughts. But we weren't really, we'd stopped being close like that. And after my dad died, we nearly lost the house. My brother was just saying, "Oh, let social services have it," because my dad's been cared for the last year in a home. This pays for it, you know. But the thing is, I was living there. I mean, me and my ex-wife were living there. It was our home, so like they couldn't take it. But we did nearly lose, and in the end, we had to sell it anyway because we couldn't afford to maintain it because it needed work on it. And it was for the best for both of us. I wanted my brother to buy it off me so he would have income from rent from it, but he didn't want anything to do with that. And I couldn't afford to buy it. So we sold it and split it. Me and my brother, we were kind of like, we'd become more distant after that, although we still stayed in touch. And it got that way that every so often I would ring him. And there was one time, like, I rang him at like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And he's like, "What the fuck are you ringing me at 2 o'clock in the morning for?" I was like, "I didn't realise what time it was. I just wanted to ask you something." So phoning him was always like. So I'd started leaving messages on his phone, and they would always be silly ones. And then it got that way that the messages that are left, I couldn't make them sillier than what I'd already done. So they started just being repetitions of the same thing. There was some sort of, I don't know. When we grew up together, he was like me big brother, and he would bully me because he was me big brother. My mum and dad, in their bedroom, over the bed, they had what was called a lazy light. I don't know if they still have that name, but basically it was a switch on a wire connected to the light in the middle of the room, and a bit like a lamp switch, you know, what those lamp switches. So it was one of those lamp switches anyway. And that's how you turn the light on and off from in bed so you didn't have to get out of bed. He took it apart and says to me, "Put your finger on that," and fucking electrocuted me. He said it wasn't there, so he wanted to see what happened, I think. I suspect that he'd been curious all his life about I wonder what happens if you touch that. And he thought, "Oh, I've got a little brother, he can do it." And there'd be a lot of arguments. It would be me shouting something like, "Mom, Jazz doing something or other to me that I don't like." She'd shout at him. And I to be fair, I got treated with soft gloves as like me brother had. I think me brother growing up had it a little bit harder than me. I think life was a bit tougher. But by the time I was around, I think we were financially okay. And so I if I asked for something, I got it, and I was spoiled. I was, and I don't think my brother was. And so there was always like I got off with stuff. It's like I used to go into Birkenhead and steal stuff from shops. And when I told my mum about it, she didn't shout at me. I don't remember really what happened. I think it was just me being honest, and I stopped doing it. Well, I didn't because, you know, the stuff that I did, that I got away with, and like, I don't know, and I don't know whether my brother ever did anything like that. I've got no idea. And this is a thing that comes up now. There's questions that I'd ask him now, but I can't. That I'm the only one left who's got any knowledge of what our little family was. And any time that I'd asked him, he would go, oh, I can't remember now. It was so long ago. And I'm like, but I've got to remember these things. Somebody's got to remember them. And so I offload stuff onto the Widge every once in a while. And the Widge gets inundated with me reminiscing about stuff. You know what? On this video, right, I've only scraped the surface about what I would want to say. There's whole aspects of my brother that I never knew. Like, who his mates were over in Liverpool, because he obviously had mates. He was over in Liverpool. He was there for 30 years, something like that, maybe a bit longer. So he clearly had mates. He had a life over there that I knew nothing about what he was like at home, because I only ever knew him as me brother, and I only ever saw him as me brother. I never saw him as a man in his own right, in his own home, being him. And when I've heard like his partner mention things online, it's things like that make me realize I had no idea who my brother was. And that in a way is sadder than the bastard being dead. But it is what it is, you know. I mean, we made our own lives. The really cool thing that I want to end on with this stuff, right? When I first transitioned, I told him about who I was. He called me Betty. I said, yeah, but my name's Hazel. Why are you calling me Betty? And he says, well, it's like call me Al, isn't it? You know, I can call you Betty, and when you call me Betty, call me Al or whatever it is. And I was like, no, I don't get that. I never got what he was on about. But he used to call me Betty. And then there was one day, I think it was the year he died, or a little bit before the year he died. He called me Hazel. And he posted a thing up referring to me as his sister, and that made me cry. I proper cried at that, because I had finally been accepted by my brother. I know he was a twat. I loved him dearly. And I think that's although I'm crying, I think that's a happy place to leave this on. Enjoy the music at the end, because it's not that bad, actually. Thank you for putting up with me. I'll see you tomorrow. Love yous. Bye!